Howdy, folks. My name is Patrick, and welcome to Luncheonette podcast, where we sit down with some of the hottest new artists in the music industry. Today, we got Chris McNeil.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing good, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I also want to introduce you to our other host, Mr. Jordan Redding.
Forgot my
country
name.
artist here in Florida. And Miss
Thank you.
Lauren Lewis. She's normally behind the camera, but sometimes we put her in front of the camera because she's just prettier than everybody else in the room. So
I haven't looked at these cameras yet. So
Oh.
I'm not trying to,
I don't like to look. Yeah.
But yeah, no, she does a really good job. If she can make me look pretty, she makes anybody look pretty. So
I got some luck.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
do your thing.
Yeah.
I won't do
your
you
thing.
wrong.
that's good. So Chris, go ahead and start off by telling us, how you got in the music industry and kind of your, beginnings.
So I don't remember much, but when I was like a little kid, I sang in like the church choir.
Mhm.
My aunt was in the choir, so I just went to church, sang next to her. After that, I really didn't play music much growing up. And then once I got in high school, I joined the band. I was on the drum line.
hmm
So did that all 4 years.
What'd you play?
I played bass drum my first 2 years, and then I played snare my last 2 years.
Yeah, I was snare.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
So I love that, and then I did like jazz band, concert
cool.
band,
Wow.
everything.
Uh-huh.
So it was really fun. Really kind of wanted to do that. A lot of people don't know this. After high school, I was really done. I was just mostly playing in church up until I left,
hmm
and then I was trying to go to school, like go to college. So I applied to join at Florida State and try and join their band, but I had to do like an application and a tryout. Was waiting forever to like get this paperwork, never got it. So I went to MEPS, like finally just talked to a recruiter, decided to go into the Navy. And the day I went to MEPS, you like can't have your phone all day. Like you turn everything in and then you finally get it back once you're leaving.
Mhm.
And you're in there from like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, depending on however long it takes for you. Well, apparently while I was in there, my mom was trying to call me. My application had came in, but I had just enlisted
Oh,
in
that's
the
fine.
military.
Whoa.
Which, like, technically, I didn't have to go then, but, like, you don't really know that at the moment.
Mhm.
And I just, like, got home and seen it, and I was like, well, we'll just see how it goes. But
So you went in the
yeah.
Navy?
So I went in the Navy.
Whoa,
and yeah.
awesome, bro.
But it was just crazy how it all happened.
Wow.
All on the same day. So I
Wow.
was like, what if?
So before the podcast, we were actually talking about your some of your tattoos and all that good stuff, and you mentioned that your grandfather
Mm-hmm.
was in the Seabees.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you kind of followed, in his steps. Was your dad in the military?
No, he wasn't. My grandfather was, but like his main thing was like from what he's seen and like he did too towards like back in Vietnam. So he was like,
Yeah.
just don't be
Tough
CB,
days, yeah.
and then
Mm.
we'll be all right.
Right.
But I honestly didn't like really have any plans on going into the Navy. Like I was out of high school, I was still playing in church, like going to work, just working cows and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I don't know. Just finally, my mom was like, "You got to figure something out. Like, decide what you want to do." So finally, this recruiter was like, "Man, you get to go see the world,"
Yeah.
and just
his
really
recruiter-
talked me into it. So I was like, "All right, let's give it a shot."
Yeah.
And that's how that whole thing happened.
There's, I tried to enlist in the Navy. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it because of my vision. Even though I was going to volunteer for submarine duty, my recruiter was like fighting. I'm like, how far does he really need to see in a submarine? Like,
Yeah, honestly.
like anybody willing to volunteer for submarine duty, we need to take him in because it is, kind of intense. But the reason why I want to go is because they feed the submariners the best,
Oh, for
And
sure.
They send the Navy sends all their cooks to CIA, which is the top culinary school in the country. And I was like, free ride to, CIA. It's going to be a shorter course than normal. It's going to be the Navy's course, but I still get that CIA certificate. This is all looking good, but they didn't want me. And as soon as the Navy turned me down, the Army's like, oh, we got you here. And I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm good. I appreciate that, but no thanks. Because the Army has their own
Mhm.
cooking
It's just
school
different. Yeah.
that's not certified for anything, And they got to feed a lot of guys, but and the Navy cooks are actually the cooks that cook in the White House.
Oh, wow.
A lot
Whoa.
of people don't realize
Interesting.
that,
Yeah,
but
I never heard that before.
Yeah, so
Our ship food wasn't that good. Like
It
I was
wasn't
like,
that good.
so I can go a lot of places. Someone's always like, where do you want to go eat? And I'm like, honestly, I don't care. I promise I'll find something that I like once I get there.
That's funny.
I've
Yeah.
had worse.
Yeah.
Wow.
But a friend of mine that did go to MEPS, he's actually a Navy SEAL now. We went together. So, you know, he went through all that training and did a lot of cool stuff. And now he's doing all sorts of insane things and doing stuff that he can't tell me about until like a year later. And it's just crazy what, you know, our military has to do, you know, each and every day, from cooking to, you know, Navy SEAL type stuff.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much. I mean, it's 5,000 people on a carrier.
Carrier.
Once it's like fully stocked of like everyone going on deployment, but it's just its own world and people doing their own thing on a daily, but you're all just like jam packed together. But I mean, it all obviously being on independent schedules, it all works together because everything still keeps going.
Did you have to share bunks? Because I know like submarines, sometimes you have to share bunks, like somebody's doing the day shift and night shift.
No, we got lucky. We didn't have to do that. Whenever we would kind of be in port, and you have this thing called like ship's company, and that's people who are like attached to the ship whenever it's in port, whenever it's out to sea. And it's not very packed then. You probably got like 2,500, 3,000 people. And then you get the squadrons that come on. And it's like individual attachments. And they bring all their extra people. And they come and like work in your shops or they're working their own. But we'll have like a 3 and 3. So it's like a top bunk, middle, and bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously kind of like the top bunk. You don't really want to be on the bottom when you're in port and someone comes back drunk and they're trying to like get in their rack. Like, you know, they slip and kind of kick you.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then the other thing is if you can kind of get one against the wall, that's best, because if you got one that's like the back of someone else's, you can feel the other person like roll over. Like
moving
something.
around,
So
yeah.
it kind of feels like you're just laying next to someone.
No.
So just little hacks if anybody's decided to go into the Navy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you're not sleeping at the Four Seasons.
Yeah, no.
That's funny.
That memory foam mattress is not available.
Yeah.
Do you ever listen to Sturgill Simpson?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you heard that one album, Hitchhiker's Guide to Earth?
I can't call the album by name. I'm sure I probably heard.
Wait,
some of
I'm
the
sorry.
songs.
I just mixed up two different. I mixed up Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and A Sailor's Guide to Earth. That's
Okay.
funny. One's a like sci-fi comedy movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, A Sailor's
I
Guide
was
to
wondering
Earth.
where you're going
I
with
have to
that.
check it out.
It's it's just like he was in the Navy
Okay.
and he just like kind of wrote an album about it a little bit. So it's
I have to
interesting.
check,
Yeah,
for
my
sure.
brother was in the Marines, and he was just reserves, but he did a few times on the aircraft carrier because he worked on the hydraulics of the
Yep.
F-18s.
We had a bunch of Marines
Yeah.
too on there, which it was just the Marine Corps' birthday yesterday. I think.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm. Yeah, I saw
249.
Yeah, that's amazing. But we're gonna be airing this a little bit later. But today is Memorial Day, Veterans Day, not Memorial Day. It's Veterans Day, so that, you know, it's kind of cool that you're here and we have a veteran here. So that's really fantastic. So, going into your music, when did you decide you wanted to do country music?
So I grew up listening to country music. I just never played guitar or anything. So once I got into the Navy, I had some friends of mine. My buddy TJ, he's from Georgia, but we were stationed in Virginia at the time. And I walk in, it's like 3 or 4 of my buddies just all sitting in a circle playing guitar, and I'm just like, all right, this is pretty cool. So I sat there for a couple hours, and then I was finally like, all right, like, can somebody teach me something? Because I've
that's
always
cool.
wanted to learn
Yeah,
how to
right.
play guitar. So my buddy was like, I don't know much, but I can show you like these 3 chords, and then that's all I really got for you. So I know 4 now, so I'm like, you know.
That's
so,
pretty good. Yeah.
But he kind of showed me how to play a few chords, and then like gave me a guitar to practice on, and I just like took that, and it was something to do after work every day because I was still living on the ship at the time, and I had a Dodge pickup truck, and I just get off work, go out in the parking lot. We had a fishing pier, and I'd go over in the parking lot and just sit in the front seat of my truck and try and like, we had crappy service, so I'd like sit my phone up in the steering wheel and like try and pull something up on YouTube. And then eventually I just had to get to the point to where I get to like a library and like go find a song with the chords like on Ultimate Guitar.
Yeah, of
And
course.
then just print it out. And then I had like binders of all these
That is so
songs.
funny. Yeah. Similar story. Yeah. For sure. Were you writing back then? Or were you just like trying to learn songs that you
I was
liked?
just trying to learn songs that I liked.
Mhm.
And then like one of my friends had asked me to like write a song or asked me if I ever wrote a song. And I just locked myself in a room all day until like I kind of wrote one. Now I probably would never play it. I haven't played it since like I don't know when. But that was kind of the start of it.
Cool.
And then once I got out of the Navy, my buddy Clay Brooker, he was kind of like the first musician that I ran into that was like, "Do you write songs as well?" And I was like, "I mean, not really." And he was like, "You ever tried it?" And I was like, "Once," but that was it. And then we wrote our first song together, and it turned out great. I loved it.
Cool.
And then that's kind of what started it from
Awesome,
there.
man. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it seems like everybody kind of has that first song story. I have a friend, Tori Hughes, who will be on the podcast. Anyhow, she went to Belmont, and like she was writing a song. It wasn't one of her first songs she's ever written, but she was on like a crunch of trying to write this song for this class, and she was trying to revisit it the other day, and she's like, "Wow, I cannot believe I did this thing and this thing. Like, this is not the best."
You grow. Yeah. Right.
Best song I wrote. So she's kind of reworking it, but yeah, I think everybody has that first song. Every artist that I've talked to, has had that song that's like, yeah.
Yeah. We all know.
I could do better.
Well, I had never really like, I'll go out and I'll play like my own songs, but I won't really tell people when I'm playing them. Just to
Interesting,
kind of
yeah.
see like a natural
You
raw
get the feedback.
reaction
Yeah.
of what someone might think. So when I met Zach Cox and Adam, I was doing their grand opening for the Workspace in Ocala, and sitting out just playing, and Zach had some people around him, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey man, you got any originals?" And I was like, "Man, no one ever asked me to play an original song, so
That's Zach,
I'll
though.
play
That's
some.
Zach.
That's cool.
For sure.
Good for him.
Yeah.
So I played one song and he liked it. He's like, "You got another one?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I ended up playing like 4 or 5 of them. And then that's kind of what really got me into thinking like I should probably start writing more songs and then playing them. But that's the thing. I'll write them all day, but I won't play them. Like I get so nervous playing like my own song. I'll send them out to people that I trust.
Yeah. Good.
And then they'll listen to them like, "Dude, I love this song. You should put this out." Or sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, I don't really like understand it yet." And then we'll kind of do not a full production, but at least like a demo.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, "Okay, I can kind of understand it now.
Cool.
Like, let's go ahead and do this one." But
I know somebody that's looking for a co-writer, man.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
know
I actually
somebody-
have I did a co-write in Nashville. I have like 3 of them that are like in the works. I'm so excited about. But yeah, bro, let's hook up.
for sure.
Funny story actually. Did you play at Old Red? Like, if you
Yes.
played there before?
Mhm.
One time I saw you there. I was just out to dinner there one time,
Okay.
and I was like, "There's this really cool artist who's going to be playing." I looked you up, and unfortunately, I didn't follow you back then. And I was just like, "Oh, there's going to be a cool band." We went there, saw y'all, and it was great show.
It
or
depends
whatever.
on what it is, because I won't lie. Like whenever we first started playing Old Red, I didn't have a band at all. Like
You at least had a you
You were
didn't
just
play
playing solo?
You were just holding them. You weren't playing guitar, I don't believe. And you had a guitar, like just like electric, bass and drums, I think, or something like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like when I say like I didn't have a band is it was very hard to try and get in at first.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told Brandon, who plays guitar for me, I was like, "Look, if anyone ever calls for Old Red, they need to fill in, just say yes. I'll figure everything else out." But it was just him and I playing acoustic gigs. And I was working at the time doing construction, and he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, someone like backed out of this date in Old Red.
Wow.
They need us to play." And I'm like, "All right,
Perfect.
call some guys. Let's figure something out." Well, I had to go to Alaska, and I know, crazy. It was weird how it all worked out. But by the time I came back, he had found some guys, and we just like really kind of started rehearsing there, like last minute, all of us together. And we kind of grew in that place a lot, and
Cool.
it just taught us a lot, about like crowd movement and just
Yeah.
like, connecting with people and stuff like that. Happy birthdays, people loved them. And just like, I don't know, it's a really fun gig. Just like being in Orlando is just different because it's like it feels like Nashville, but it's not Nashville.
Right.
Orlando stresses me out.
Yes.
Like Nashville doesn't stress me out as much as Orlando. Like it's just like trying to make heads or tails of your audience at that Old Red in Orlando is tricky.
You see, you get it.
Yeah.
You understand.
And
For
I'm not
sure.
a performer, but I just know, like, talking to artists on Broadway, they know what they're getting into on Broadway, but that Orlando Old Red and the Tin Roof.
Like,
It's
do you
really
mean
hard to
do you mean
get-
if you are playing Old Red, like you don't know if they're going to be interested in country music, or is that kind of what you're saying? Or
No, and
that's
this
something
is-
I run
I don't
into
want this
playing.
to like get out and over. It's like you talk bad about
No,
us
no.
and we hire you.
It's
But
not
it's
Old Red.
just-
Old Red's a great venue. It's just you got different people coming in. There could be a cheerleader tournament, and they're just like blowing through, there's
Yeah.
200 people, and it's like you're playing to them, but nobody's really paying attention. And then you have times where at Old Red, people are like, "Oh, I'm really in it."
For sure.
I go to Nashville all the time.
It is just like
yeah.
that because like
Yeah.
it'll be like a cheerleading tournament one weekend, and it's kind of like the moms just trying to get some dinner before they have to wake up early in the morning, and then you got people who have been sitting in a convention all day and they can't wait to get out and have a drink and like listen to music.
Mhm.
And then obviously that's kind of more of like your party crowd and like people who are looking to hang out and stuff. So
You really have to adjust yourself to the audience at Old Red.
Yeah.
It's just one of those.
Right.
At that particular location, Gatlinburg, all the other ones, you kind of know what you're getting into. The audience knows what they're getting into, but that specific one it's a great.
It's right
venue.
there in that,
I'm not
what's it
knocking
called,
Old Red. It's a
Icon
great
Park
venue.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's
So
part
it's
of Icon
like,
Park.
so there's so many things to do, and it's just such a transient crowd, people
Yeah,
coming in and
exactly.
out. Yeah.
and you have to you can't please everyone, but
Right.
you got people who are coming in and looking for that wow effect, and then you got people who are just coming in to get dinner. So like whenever you're doing that, you don't want to like overwork the establishment as well. It's like if you're giving everyone that show, like people are staying, like now you got people waiting on tables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's not really like the time I would say for it. It kind of is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going back to, like the whole crowd thing. It's just like kind of got people who are coming in and getting dinner, and then you got people who want to party. So you can tone it down, but then like know when like, all right, we can kind of just beef it up. And
Yeah, when
kinda
you start
rock
seeing
out
more
here.
tables, like,
Yeah.
asking for some party songs, then like,
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
really, you have
Yeah.
to wait on them to kind of be like, hey,
Mhm.
can you do this?
How do you do that with your band? Do you have like a talk back mic or something, or do you just like turn around and be like, skip that next song, like go to
Yeah.
this one? Or like,
I'm just big on crowd reading.
Yeah,
Like going
yeah.
back to my buddy Clay, like I just watched him sit on a stool plenty of nights and just work a crowd by himself, like pack out venues.
whoa.
So, just like kind of following that and watching him and other artists as well, I just kind of started learning from them really. And then talking to the guys, I would just be like, hey, because I'll go into a place and have a set list, but sometimes I'll look at a song and I'm like, this isn't the crowd for this song right now. So we got to switch it up. And that's kind of why I won't use tracks, because like, unless it's like a big show and we've been playing in like a concert, I'll probably be down to use them. But like I said, I grew up singing in church, so it's just like sometimes I'll get on stage and I'm just like, I got a whole new game plan.
Yeah. Oh no, I know.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm calling an audible.
Yeah.
So I'll just kind of look at the guys and I'll just like have certain people drop out. Like I tell people, like it's easier to speed a train up than slow it down.
That's true.
So I'll have certain guys drop out, and then like I'll just tell certain, either follow me or follow him.
So you're,
And
but
then-
you're conducting it all. Like you're the
Yeah.
band director.
And then
Cool.
we'll just kind of build everything up and go from there. But generally, like once you kind of get like a couple of guys going, everyone realizes like, all right, this is what we're doing.
And even though you do play guitar, like you are very like understanding of like musical things though, right? About like you know, like you're saying, like we need this beat right here, we need this type of song. You know, like you're saying, drop out. Like you come in later in the song or whatever it is. Like that's really cool. Like for someone who like didn't start off like with an instrument in their hand, like just singing and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because I started on drums actually, and like that's like drums, then guitar, and then it kind of like made me understand like just the foundation of music. But coming from a singer, that's kind of interesting. That that's great that you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I feel like everyone kind of has like their own feeling of things whenever they get on stage, and just, I don't know. Sometimes I won't do it in every setting, but sometimes I just like to try stuff to see where it'll go.
Awesome.
And then, especially with our acoustic gigs, me and Brandon will just be up there playing. We'll do something crazy, and we're like, all right, we should probably just teach the rest of the band.
That's
that was
so
pretty cool.
Right.
Mhm.
So it just kind of comes. Sometimes it goes faster than like I'll remember, and we'll be like, what was that part we're going to do? And you just never record it or write it down, and you're like, well, there's another good idea.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I've been to many of Jordan's concerts and shows, and I've seen him flip that switch of like, okay, we're changing this up. Like, this is going to be different now.
Yeah, I have like a talkback mic.
Yeah.
We all use in-ears. So like I'll just like go over to the talkback mic. I'm like, go to this song. It's in the third set. Like they want to hear another honky tonk, line dancing song right now. So go to that. And my drummer, he's really good at just like zipping right over and finding it and stuff like that. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. But then again, we're locked into tracks, so it's like, oh man, I wish we could play that song a lot longer. Maybe you're just jamming on some like honky tonk song, they're line dancing, but it's over now. You're like,
yeah. And the reason I won't use tracks is like I get nervous, like, and it's the military thing inside of me. Like I don't like not starting on time. Like I don't care if we start at 5:00 and then we're like, all right, we got to kind of fix some sound. Let's just go ahead and do some adjustments. But at least someone can't say we didn't start on time.
Of course,
like,
yeah.
That's just my biggest thing. But then whenever I've like watched guys get to a show and be like, oh, we don't have tracks, I can't do it. And it's just like, what? I just, and for me, I just get nervous because like, I won't say like I will get dependent on it. But at the same time, it's just that I don't want it to stress the rest of the guys out in the band either. Because, like, I mean, I got some gear nerds in my band for sure. And, like, I'm learning a lot from them. But it just, like, I don't know. I got way too much anxiety. So whenever I get somewhere and I'm just like, this isn't working, I'm like, oh, my God. We're already off to a bad start.
I hate it.
And
There's
then,
nothing worse.
And then, like, now I'm trying to, like, I'll even talk to the guys. Like, sometimes we'll start our first set, and it's rough. And I'm just like, just smile, get through it.
Yeah.
We'll regroup after
For
this.
real,
But just
yeah.
like, just fake it till we make it.
It's funny you say that. I'm the same way. Like I like to start on time. I don't like to be like acting like we're gonna wait, for more people to show up or whatever it might be. Anything. I just like the venue to know he started on time and he's gonna end on the right time, or even sometimes go over if there's people jamming out. Anyway, all that to say, like there might be a problem. Like with somebody's ears, like the mix isn't good, and it's just like, just get through that first set. We'll figure it out in the break. That's cool, man. I like that. It's a good work ethic, honestly.
It really, it just like teaches, like, I mean, you grow not only as like musicians, but people as well. And I mean, I try and just put on anyone, like, the first time someone just told me, like, I didn't know how to do something, they just looked at me like, figure it out. And like, a lot of people don't get told to figure it out. And once you you hate it at first because it's like, if you teach me, I will remember it. But once you figure it out, it instills something in you, and you're like, I did this on my own.
Yeah.
Now, just like, I can do it again. We'll go into venues, and obviously sound travels differently. And the guys will be like, how are we going to do this? I'm like, I don't know. But once we get there, we'll just figure it out. We'll just look at it. And if something's not going right, we'll just make some adjustments. But not everything's going to go perfectly. But we just have to control what we can control.
That was me with learning sound, because when I started, I'm not an artist, but when I started hosting shows and doing shows, I didn't have money to pay for a sound guy and all that kind of stuff. So I had to figure it out. Like,
totally. I bought a soundboard. Didn't know how to run it.
I could make kind of a mic and a guitar work. Now, if we start adding full band stuff, it's completely, gonna go bad real quick. But yeah, I had to figure it out, and I think I've learned more trying to figure it out than somebody like educating me on saying this is what you got to do, and do all that stuff. But
absolutely. And I mean, I won't try and put like one thing on one person, like, hey, just figure that out. Like, if we're all setting up, and because there's some guys who like run sound better than others. Like some guys in my band obviously run sound or play in church and things like that. So as we're setting up, I'll be like, hey, you set your stuff up first, and everything else don't worry about. Like the rest of the band will do that. And then you just worry about running sound and everything. Like as long as you got your stuff set up ready to go, by the time we get done, everything else will be ready. You just do what you have to do.
Yeah.
That way, it kind of just takes some stresses off of people. Like, oh, I don't have to like worry about helping the guy set up, and then everyone's pissed at me because they feel like I'm just standing around. But everyone kind of just gets their fair share. So
Twisted knobs.
yeah, we just all. I try to make it like a team effort. Just like
It's great.
the
Yeah.
quicker we all help each other get our things in and get out.
Do you think being in the Navy kind of taught you that a little bit?
For sure. I mean, I've always like just helped. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, that's just like a farm kid thing,
Yeah.
I guess. Like, you're always you want to be in the mix. Like, you hate being told, like, oh, you're too little, like, you can't go.
Mm-hmm.
So once you kind of get to an age where you're like, all right, you can come along, you don't want to mess up that opportunity. So, like, I've always kind of just worked hard. Like, someone needed something moved, like, all right, what are we doing? But the Navy, I will say, like, instilled it more to where, like, I won't say, like, I'll try and do everything on my own. Like, I'll kind of look at someone and be like, hey, I need you to do this. And, like, just go get this other
Delegate
person.
a little bit better.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
just, like, try and, like, put things on other people to where, like, we're all not just stressing or just standing around to where you feel like you're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you sound like it feels like you and I are kind of raised the same. You mentioned a farm and a ranch. Is that yours? Is that your family's or?
Yeah, so, I mean, I grew up really, like, at my aunt's house, like, before school and everything. And we, like, had eggs for breakfast that the chickens had. We'd have chicken for lunch that, like, we probably went ahead and killed ourselves. Just, like, beef and everything. So we grew up that way. And then, I mean, we just always kind of kept that style of life. Like, you
That's
go
cool.
fishing, you basically eat what you catch. But that's really been, like, my whole entire life, basically.
Where is the farm?
I mean, it's not really a farm anymore. So, like, we had a bunch of farm animals, and then, like, my grandparents that I have in Citrus County, like, they had way more cows in, but it was just mainly, it wasn't for, like, eating. It was just mostly, like, to give my grandfather something to do and just,
Yeah, that's funny.
you know.
We call it a gentleman farmer.
Exactly. But back then, I was, like, young, but that was, like, right near in Ocala, Florida. I'm on the north
sweet. Yeah.
side, so, like, grew up in a little town called Lowell, Florida. We always used the prison as our landmark.
Yeah.
Like, there's one not pretty far. So, like, if I was on my way home, my mom was like, where are you? I'm like, I'm 5 minutes from the prison. I promise I'll be there in just a little bit. But, yeah, we don't have much over there.
Yeah. I have some family members that live in Ocala. Are you familiar with Siler's Peanuts, Siler's Produce? I believe it's 441.
I've heard of Silers.
Yeah, they do a lot of peanuts and stuff over there in Ocala.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time up there. My family has a ranch. We didn't do too much farming other than pine trees, but so it was cool to go over there and visit the peanut fields and work and
For sure.
drive big disc and stuff. I mean, we had that kind of stuff, but ours was much smaller. But to do like full production agriculture like that was pretty fun.
I remember, like, back in the day, you can work in a peanut field, and I think they give you, like, $4 a bucket or something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, there'd be a bunch of people out there, but, like, as kids, once we started learning, like, that's how we can go make cash, you're like, all right, let's go
Well,
do it.
gotta hit the peanut
Yeah.
field. Yeah.
For sure.
It's hard work too. It's not easy
And
work.
it is work
Yeah.
for sure. And I mean, we're scrawny. So by the time we had my bigger cousins that have to help us, like, carry buckets,
That's funny.
they would have like 5 or 6. We probably have like 1.5, maybe 2.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was fun for us.
Yeah, he used to pay us nothing to do a lot of stuff. But that's just growing up. Like I said, my family and everything, we grew up on a ranch, so we never got paid. Like, we would bale hay, and
Yep.
my friends would get paid, and my dad would be like, did your mom make your breakfast this morning? Yeah. You got a roof over your head? All right, well, let's consider everything even, you know?
Kind of true.
And it worked
Honestly.
out. But again, like I said, it kind of, when you spoke about your upbringing, kind of,
Can
brought
I
back all
ask
those
you
memories.
like one question? What's like one farm job or something that you're like, I'll never do this again? Like, if I could stop doing this, I won't ever do it ever again.
Well, we always, had to clear fields and do stuff like that. So it's picking up palmetto roots it's just one of those tedious jobs. I mean, it's not, but every time you pick up one, you get sand down your shirt and down your pants, and
Yeah.
Like, you know, you like towards the end, you're taking off all your clothes just to like, you know, get the sand out of your body, off your
Yeah.
body. You know, baling hay, I didn't mind. That was much harder work. You know, when you're doing, you know, 1,000 bales a day at 30 pounds a piece, whatever they weigh, it seems like a lot. Out in the field's much better than the barn. If you've ever been on the top of a metal barn in the middle of summer,
That's what I was
that'll
gonna
kill
say.
you.
That's the one job that I don't ever want to do
Baling
again.
hay?
Just like in a barn.
In a barn, yeah.
So it
Stacking
was
hay in the
me and
barn.
one other guy. I was in high school, and we did a semi trailer of like Georgia coastal bales, and they were heavy. And just me and him, it took us all day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll never come back out here. We got done. He was like, are you coming back tomorrow? I was like, no, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, I didn't mind the hay. My family ended up buying a feed mill. It's been years ago, but so we used to get alfalfa in, and alfalfa weighs a ton. So you know, normally what happens for those y'all watching is people would bring cows out west to the feedlots, and then on the return trip, they would bring back alfalfa or something else. You know, because you don't want an empty load.
Yeah.
And that wire that they bale alfalfa with,
Yeah.
like I tried gloves. You go to throw it and they just take your gloves off.
Pinches.
Yeah. And then you're like, you get tired of it, so you just throw your gloves off, and that wire just eats up your hands.
Yeah.
And those things are like 80 pounds a piece, you know, and it's just like.
By the night, you're like, I don't know why my fingertips hurt so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Yep.
But that wire is rough. But yeah, so we got a lot in common. We got a lot in common for sure. So,
Yes, sir.
where do you want your music career to go in the next couple of years?
I want to be successful at anything I do, obviously. I don't like care about like fame. Some people want to like have all the bright lights and stuff. Obviously, you know, there's certain things that come with it. But I just want to write songs, be successful, obviously go more places in the world with my band for sure. Just like live experiences that I didn't ever experience myself getting to so far. It's kind of hard to say because like I just ran into a room one day and started playing guitar. Like some people have had dreams of this since they were kids. Like I've always kind of wanted to perform. Like always loved The Temptations growing up. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Like my aunt said, as soon as it came on, like I would just be in front of the TV in like a diaper, just like no one would be able to watch it. Like that was my movie.
That's funny.
But I'm just super thankful to be where I'm at today, if that makes sense. And like we go places, we play Broadway and stuff like that. You know, we kind of go out and people will say like they're fans of us. And like I just kind of always accept someone as a friend as soon as I meet them at a show. Like I wouldn't say like, oh, we have all these fans. Like we got a bunch of friends in places, but
Jordan and I just recently experienced that on our trip to Nashville. Like, what was it? Like midnight, 1 a.m. We were
Yeah, it
walking
really
down
was.
Broadway.
Yeah.
We're going to Taco Bell because that was the only thing open. It was Sunday after the Josies.
Yep.
And we had these two girls walk up, and they're like, "Hey, we just want to let you know, like your show was the best music we've heard our whole time in Nashville."
That's awesome.
That was a show that Jordan played at.
Yeah, I mean,
Nash
that was awesome. That was like, well, first of all, she said something to you like, you're really good at picking people or something like
Yeah.
that. She said, like, you put on like the best event we've seen in Nashville. And that was a huge compliment,
Yeah.
too.
Just
So-
walking down, like, you know, we were just getting back from Taco Bell, and we get a
But
comment.
it's such a fulfilling, like, especially like whenever you're in Nashville, you know, to hear something like that. Because I know the first time we went, we walked, like, I was on Broadway. I'm just like, every bar you walk in, there's someone great.
Mhm.
And even if you don't like what they sound like on the first floor, you got 2 or 3 more to go.
That's funny. Yeah.
You know, so there's plenty of music. So a couple of times when we've played, we've had people walk out of Old Red and then come back like 30 minutes later and be like, you know, we just walked all the way down Broadway and like decided to come back. Like we didn't hear anything else we
That's the
liked.
best compliment.
This is it.
So
Yeah.
whenever someone's like, you know, I left and I decided to come back, or like, hey, I've got to go down Broadway, downtown, see plenty of shows. You had the best one that I enjoyed. That's very awesome to
Huge.
hear, for sure.
That's awesome. Well,
And it is cool to be able to get that in Nashville too. Like people are going there expecting good music. Like you were saying in Orlando, there's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of different ways to be entertained. But like in Nashville, they're like, show me a good band.
Yes,
It was you. You know, you were the good band that night. You know.
absolutely, for sure.
yeah, that's definitely a good feeling to have.
And it's so many people, you
Yeah.
know. And for someone to like recognize you, be like, hey, I remember that person right there. Because, I mean, once everyone kind of starts dressing up in Nashville and stuff, it's just like,
Anybody could be a star.
for sure, you just don't know.
Yeah, Lauren
Yeah.
was there too. She looked like a star. She
Yeah.
looked like a superstar.
Like all you guys are dressed up. Like,
Oh yeah,
everyone's
man. Yeah,
very
you too, man.
dapper,
Yeah,
for
that was
sure.
that was yeah, the Josies was awesome, man.
Very cool. I'm hoping to be back next
Me
year
too,
for
man.
sure. Definitely hoping to see you
Right.
guys there.
Yeah.
Well, man, this has been a great podcast, Chris. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you.
We really didn't even get to talk about your music, but go ahead and tell them where they can check out your music and all that good stuff.
So all my social media handles are Chris McNeil Music. That's ChrisMcneil Music. I'm on iTunes, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify. Chris McNeil, and then just my website, chrismcneilmusic.com.
And, you know, we're saying he's got great music. Don't take our word for it. At the end of this podcast, we're going to be recording a song, so you can check it out for yourself and hopefully check them out up in Ocala. I'm sure we're going to get you on some Southern Fellow shows, either here in Nashville. And, again, thank you for coming, and we look forward to doing some more music and stuff like this together.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. Thank y'all for having me.
Great to have you, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all, guys, and we'll see you next time right here on the Luncheonette.